Yellow!
Hey bud, what's up?
Oh, just getting going here.
Place a disaster?
Oh yeah, big time, bud.
Let's make this happen.
Sounds good.
I'll be up front. Bye.
Let's go to the McDons house. Let's go to the McDons. Let's go to the McDons house and play some songs. Let's go to the McDons house. Let's go to the McDons. Let's go to the McDons house and play some songs.
Thanks, everybody.
It's Ryan's spot of the week. It's Ryan's spot of the week.
This week I wanted to talk about the moon landing. You know, we landed on the moon. 69, you know, everybody knows Apollo 11. We got Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. But could it be that it's actually a hoax and we didn't actually land on the moon? Of course, if it was an actual movie production, if it was a hoax, it would probably be the most expensive production ever made, you know, running about $30 billion. Of course, that's just a hair ahead of Pirates of the Caribbean 9 at World's End. So there's a lot of people out there that actually believe it was a hoax, not just crazy kooky bastards, you know. Could be a rumor, but 20% of Americans actually believe it could have been a hoax or that it was a hoax. And you gotta think, I mean, that's pretty substantial. Of course, you'll also hear that nearly 20% of the American population believe that the sun revolves around the earth. Do these people go to school? No. Turns out 20% of Americans did not finish high school. And also, I would like to note that 20% of the world's population like to pee in the pool. So watch where you swim. Why would the Americans or NASA or the government, whoever would be behind it, why would they want to hoax it? And the number one reason, I think, is the space race. I mean, you know, back in '69, the US, they wanted to beat the Soviets to the moon. JFK, he set it in motion, you know, and peeps were scared. They thought that the Soviets were gonna get up there on the old moon and set up a bunch of nuke bases and then nuke us from the moon, and, you know, we'd be toast then, because nukes coming from the moon are probably like 40 times more powerful than a nuke coming from the Earth, because, I mean, it just makes more sense. Plus, it's probably cheaper to ship the nukes off from the moon, you know, saving gas money, and, I mean, the price of gas, geez. What about funding? I mean, that's another big reason. Old NASA, they probably wanted to keep the money flowing, and if they couldn't actually get to the moon, they damn well wanted to make everyone, including the president, think that they actually fulfilled the promise of making it to the moon within that decade. I mean, you know, old JFK, we're gonna make it to the moon. So the boys wanted to make it to the moon, and obviously they couldn't make it, so they're gonna fake it, and they wanna keep getting the money, paying the bills, paying the milkmen. Back then you had a milkman. You know, we don't have milkmen anymore. Maybe we gotta start faking moon landings, get the milkmen going. So some people also say that with all the known and unknown hazards that NASA would have known about, they wouldn't have risked the mass public humiliation of the astronauts crashing to their deaths on the lunar surface, which would have been broadcasted live on TV. You know, that would have been pretty bad. A lot of people believe that the landings would have helped the US government because it was a real huge popular distraction from the war. And I mean, the manned landings that are on TV, they're basically at the same time as the Vietnam War. And, you know, and then the Americans are just, the government's doing whatever they want over there, and everybody's just concerned with watching the TV and seeing the old jump on the moon and jump around shooting golf balls and friggin' driving around in Land Rovers, having the time of their life. Meanwhile, Joe Blow's over there, hiding in the bushes, Charlie's in the bushes, and I mean, remember in the 60s, you know, we didn't have reality TV or celeb gossip, Brangelina, that kind of stuff to sway everyone's attention, so they had to come up with faking the moon landings. It's another possibility. When you think about it, we didn't have much for technology back then. I mean, I probably have more technology in my friggin' toothbrush today, so maybe it was filmed at Area 51. I mean, we know the place is super top secret and, you know, secret beyond belief, to the point where, you know, they're coming at you with attack helicopters just for driving up the old extraterrestrial highway to check out the scene to see if you can see any UFOs and stuff. So, I mean, the bastards are undoubtedly hiding aliens, UFOs, triple stuffed Oreos, you know, those are probably in there. And what if it was only Apollo 11 that was hoaxed? Most people that believe in the moon hoaxing, they think that we've been to the moon, but not the first time. So that's what you gotta realize. Yeah, we've been to the moon a few times, not to mention the countless times we've sent unmanned spacecraft there, you know, collecting moon rocks and such. You know, Buzz Aldrin, he was on that first flight with them to the moon, and he recently punched out some douchebag who was basically calling him a liar and a cheat and a joke. And I mean, come on, the guy's mother's maiden name is Moon. You know, his mother's last name was Moon. So even if the first landing was faked, I mean, maybe the astronauts were drugged with LSD cornflakes for breakfast, I don't know, but Buzz probably didn't know the difference, because why would he punch out that douchebag? He believes he landed on the moon, and that's what's important. So here's what gets me to consider the possibility that a hoaxy poo actually may have taken place. And the big thing is the NASA moon landing tapes. You know, the video that you would have seen back in '69, they got taped over, and I mean, I guess somebody didn't want to risk missing the Brady Bunch, and you see, back then we didn't have the power of illegal downloads or PVRs. I mean, who tapes that stuff over? It's the moon landing, come on! Taping it over with the frig. There's a lot of fishy stuff out there that makes you ask, what if it was a hoax? And I mean, like some of the astronauts, Buzz Aldrin and Armstrong, when they were asked if they remember seeing stars while they were on the moon surface, they just say, yeah, I can't remember. Okay, you can't remember. I guess it is a lot of stuff going on at once, but I mean, come on. You know, that makes it sound kind of fishy. Then we got the moon rocks being tested. Apparently brought back a bunch of crazy moon rocks, you know. One of them probably looked like Jay Leno. And they test them and they find out they're just Earth rocks, you know. Most people believe that the moon came from the Earth, so I guess that explains that. But I mean, apparently there's something like a 0.0017% chance at the time in '69 to actually get to the moon and return safely. And I mean, that's pretty similar to the chances of me successfully being drafted into the NHL and then having a good career. Have you ever coasted your car into a gas station completely empty? Apparently when the Apollo 11 landed on the moon, 20 seconds left of fuel. Not sure if you knew that one. That's a pretty wild story. But I hope that the next time when you look into the moon up in the sky like a big pizza pie, you know, don't eat it. It's amore. But I hope that you'll remember some of this jumbled, useless information, mostly crap, that I filled your skull with today.
It's Ryan's spot of the week. It's Ryan's spot of the week.
On Mondays, the day's gone. Tuesday, spring dawn. He's on Wednesday, down the letter. He's on Thursday, nothing better. Fridays, sorrow. Saturdays, tomorrow. He's on Sunday, yes to see. But the devil will have you. Once there was a boy in a terrible house, shallow and shady and sick by the bridge. Later in the river, then he fell in the air. The water's looking dark 'cause his terrible eyes. He heals from the harbor and tied his knife. Shit in the pit, but he understood. I came back to the middle of the wood with a belly full of snow and a map full of rain. Walking in the fall on a windy night, hanging from the trees and I could see the fly. Right together with a big string, laying in the snow with a terrible grin.
What do you guys want to hear? Yeah, you got $5?
Oh, summertime, I shake the ball. The wind withers around the goal. And I'm collecting this beautiful time. Back to the city to drown.
the best albums in the history of the human being. Records we all should talk about. An album we could all listen to this week.
And they laughed. Yes, sirree. So we're up to number 19 now in our little list of the greatest albums of the history of the human being. If I said that right. And there we go, Death. So we got to say a little story because of bands like Death and Bathory, you have to say a little story because of their importance to the world and beyond. So here we go. Macon, it's 1984 and summer is starting. We're in Orlando, Florida, and Chuck Schaldiner has gotten tired of his first band, Mantis, which he formed the year before. So he set upon, Mantis had a demo called Death by Metal, and I think Chuck looked at that demo and there he decided that the band would be called Death, that he's going to form a new band called Death. It's summer, he just graduated from school or kicked out or quit or whatever, but he's 18 years old, I think. And he sets about that summer to find members to form a band called Death. Didn't work. There's not too many people that were like-minded to Chuck in Orlando, summer of '84. So by the end of the summer, he got his old comrades back from Mantis, Rick and Cam, and they formed Death, the same lineup as the Mantis, and reissued the Death by Metal demo. A couple of different songs. I don't know if it was re-recorded or not. So that's where Death starts. Holy shit. So anyway, then we move on to Reign of Terror, Infernal Death, and by that time it was just Chuck and Cam. Rigor Mortis, that's number 4. Then Chuck realizes at that point, it's 1985, nothing's happening in Orlando. He's got it, Death has got to go beyond the limits of the Rigor Mortis or Infernal Death demo. So he heads up north, first to Jersey or to Michigan. It was Genocide and Repulsion, I think, that got him up there. He even stopped in Canada for a while. Nothing's happening there. So off to California he goes. Hooks up with the drummer for DRI, good old Kurt Brecht. And so we're progressing here up to demo number 5 with Back from the Dead. Comes home to Florida for a while, goes back to California again, or maybe not, because I think Kurt was on Mutilation. So there we go. We're up to 6 demos here of Death, and we're up to 1986, so a couple of years into it. What I'm getting at here, people, is why did it take so long for this band to be noticed? That all these demos came out, and usually a band puts out a demo or two and they get signed. But this, the greatest band out of the United States since Motley Crue or Slayer, and they're up to 6 demos and not getting signed yet. Finally, after the Mutilation demo came out, they got signed. Some person with vision at Combat decided to sign Death, and here we go. I got into Death in October 1985, and this thing came out, I think, for me, April or May of 1987. It's just nuts that I even got into a band before they even had an album. It just goes to show how long it took for Death to get signed. And even when this album came out, they laughed. And that's the premise here of what Chuck was up against in a world of stupid. That to keep trying and to keep being misunderstood time and time again. And there's a lot more where this came from after this album, but Chuck had already faced a lot of trials and tribulations and hard work to get to this great album. But I'll tell you, I think it was maybe the second time he moved to California that he finally hooked up with one of his favorite groups in the whole world, a band called Sadist. And I think it's through their bass player, Steve DiGiorio, that he met Chris Reeford, who became the drummer for Death in late 1986. And they recorded this album as a 2-piece. There's another guy pictured on the album cover, but it doesn't matter. This album is Chuck Schaldiner and Chris Reeford. This is the first Death album. This is Scream Bloody Gore. It could have been demo number 7 had not someone from Combat finally realized the unjust, stupidity of letting this band. But anyway, enough of is enough. Scream Bloody Gore is the 19th best record in the history of the human being. This record is, it's not really quite indicative of the whole scheme of Death, but there was always an oncoming progress for sure. But it's just weird on how Death is obviously death metal, but this record is so wet and dark, it's like a black metal record. That's the reason why I guess it's my favorite. The funny thing is, when this record came out, I thought it was tame a little bit compared to what Kurt had done with the 2 previous demos. But by the end of summer of 1987, I realized that it was a step forward. And my God, 1987, what an incredible year for metal. Just think about it, folks. But anyway, I'll tell you, this album is special. And even though there's, a 2-man group at this point, Chuck Schuldiner and Chris Reeford. Is there anything else that can be said before we get to the incidentallys? I'm almost going to pause for a second here because we're talking about Chuck Schuldiner, Evil Chuck. He got to finally release an album in 1987. Wonder what his mother and sister thought. So anyway, incidentally, this album includes Mutilation. The second version of Mutilation, and even better than the first version, even though I didn't think that when it first came out. And Mutilation is not 89th, 79th best song in the history of the human being. Yeah, there we go. There's even songs on this album that date back from when Cam was in the band, but there's a lot of new songs like Scream Bloody Gore. Okay, so I don't know what else I can say. I'm nervous about this because I'm talking about one of the most important bands that ever existed. I don't want to fuck up. So, the 19th best record in the history of the human being, Scream Bloody Gore by Death from Orlando, Florida. Formed, created, and mystified by the mighty Chuck Schuldiner. Forever. Forever indeed. I don't know what else to say. Fucking death, because only death is real.
Mark's made a list of the best albums in the history of the human being. Records we all should talk about. An album we could all listen to this week. Let's go to the McDons house. Let's go to the McDons. Let's go to the McDons house and play some songs.
Thanks, everybody.